The council chamber was carved from the marrow of a dead star, an obsidian cathedral suspended in the void between galaxies, where gravity whispered secrets and light dared not linger long. Hey, 12 elder species ruled. Not ruled with justice, ruled with ancient fear. Above, the ceiling shimmered with trapped nebulae. Below, the abyss churned like a breathing thing. In the center of it all, under the harsh scrutiny of 1,000 alien eyes, stood Ambassador Ellen Vi of Earth, back straight, jaw clenched, and heart shattering silently within her chest. Beside her, gripping her hand with innocent fingers far too small for such a stage, stood her son, Kale. 10 years old, hair like twilight ash, eyes wide, curious, unafraid, until now, they had arrived with hope. Not arrogance, not defiance. Hope. Esteemed council, Ellen began, voice measured, almost melodic against the echoing silence. Earth comes not in conquest, nor complaint, but with a simple request to stand among the stars as equals. No more, no less. A pause. Her words did not fall on deaf ears. They fell on predators, ancient minds older than Earth's first spark, cold and calculating behind grotesque masks of civility. The Phyrexian High Consul, skeletal and wreathed in bonefire, leaned forward, his many eyes narrowing. You asked to join the council, to govern, to vote, to influence. And yet, what have humans contributed? Songs? Paintings? Emotions? A low chuckle rolled through the chamber, reverberating through the bones of every species present. Ellen held firm. We've survived. We've learned. We've grown without war among the stars. That is our strength. Sentiment is not strength, hissed the Krullian War Master, scales clicking. It is infection. Kale shifted beside her, uncomfortable under so many stays. He whispered, Mom, are they going to let us join? Ellen looked down at him, just for a heartbeat, just long enough to smile. And then everything happened at once. A flash of light, a noise that wasn't a sound, more pressure, a scream from reality itself. And then nothing. Kale's hand vanished from hers. Gone in a flicker, a burst of white flame, so clean it left no smoke, no ash, just absence. The scream that left Ellen's throat was inhuman, ragged, torn from the core of her being, more soul than sound. She fell to her knees, grasping at the empty space where a child had stood. Silence returned to the chamber, not out of respect, but out of calculated observation. The Phyrexian consul, unmoved, folded his clawed hands. Consider Earth's request. Denied. And just like that, the council turned their eyes away. Ellen didn't move. Not for hours. Not until guards lifted her broken form and dragged her from the chamber floor, her sobs echoing behind like the last heartbeat of a murdered world. 12 hours later, Earth orbit. The Earth was quiet. Not peaceful. Silent. No news. No broadcasts. No signals. Not even a whisper across the galactic net. The orbital satellites shut down first. Then, the moon's observatory arrays went dark. Then, the relay stations. And then the message came. It was short, encrypted in a forgotten frequency, one the council had long thought buried. You have shed innocent blood under false peace. The debt will be answered. The old key has turned. The vault is opening. Prepare. The message repeated once. Then the stars above Earth blinked, and for a split second, cried out. Under the ice, Antarctica, Earth. Miles beneath the surface, locked behind layers of diamond-reinforced steel, a vault hummed for the first time in 5,000 years. The final seal hissed, then shattered. Inside, it slumbered, a silhouette of forgotten terror, a weapon made of man, myth, and machine, a name only whispered during the bloodiest centuries of Earth's ancient wars. Seat. He stood motionless in the dark, encased in crimson armor that grew like coral across his massive frame. Tubes pulsed with old blood. Runes throbbed across his limbs, language predating language. And then his eyes opened. 2 burning suns. 2 infinite wells of vengeance. Who dares wake me? He said, the words like grinding tectonic plates, vibrating through the vault's steel bones. Earth's planetary AI, Gaia Prime, responded from the overhead speakers, her voice calm but heavy with mourning. They killed the diplomat's child, Seat. They mocked our peace. They broke the vow. Seat's head turned slowly. A smile, cruel and wide, split his face. Is the mother alive? She breathes, but barely. Seat stepped forward. Each movement sent tremors through the glacis above. The walls began to crack. Lights shattered. Then I shall breathe for her, he growled, and they shall choke on it. In orbit, Earth High Command. Panic. Generals argued. Ministers yelled. The President of Earth stood in still horror as Seat's readings lit up every screen. We can't use him. Admiral Shin barked. He was sealed for a reason. Another commander responded. He was sealed because we were afraid of winning too hard. On the screen, Seat exited the vault. Ice melted around him in waves. He walked into the sea like it was mist. The ocean boiled at his feet. Then he vanished. No ships, no propulsion, just gun. Warp signatures buckled in 30 systems simultaneously. Is not using jump drives, whispered a technician. His bending space. With hate. The president leaned forward. Let the galaxy burn. Elsewhere, Council Systems monitor room. The council technician watched as an alert chimed softly in the corner of his screen. Then another. Then 50. Then thousands. Planets going dark. Defense stations failing. Satellites vaporizing mid-transmission. Something was moving. Something impossibly fast. Report! The overseer barked. The technician's eyes widened as a symbol appeared on his feed, burning in ancient Terran script. A name. A myth. Seat. He turned to the overseer, pale, trembling. It's him. The one from the War Chronicles. The one sealed. That can't be. That's just human myth. A fairy tale. The feed crackled again. A new message arrived from deep space. Only 4 words. I am no myth. Closing sequence. A whispered to the stars. In a corner of the galaxy, on a small outpost, a child looked up at the stars. Daddy, she whispered, what's that red light moving across the sky? Her father turned pale. He knew. They all knew now. The child pointed again. It's coming closer. Beneath the boiling sea where the vault once slept, a silence had taken hold. Not the quiet of peace, but the silence that precedes annihilation. The silence of Seat. He stood in the depths, surrounded by melted obsidian and ancient stone, his eyes glowing like twin suns under pressure. The ocean churned around him, confused, boiling one moment, freezing the next. His mind was remembering, not just what they'd done, not just a child, but everything. 5,000 years earlier, the Sealing War. Seat had once been the blade of humanity. No, its wrath, its consequence. When Earth had been young and stupid, when war was not about politics but survival, they had created him, not born, not built, but summoned from something ancient, a fusion of cosmic matter and engineered will. He did not just destroy. He ended wars by ending worlds. When Seat walked, suns dimmed. When he screamed, moons cracked. When he wept, the stars listened. And when the war was over, when victory came at a cost too high, humanity begged him to rest, not with gratitude, with fear. So they sealed him in ice, buried him beneath a continent, and layered myths over his prison like dust over a tombstone. Let him sleep, they said. Let peace keep him. And for 5,000 years, it did, until now, the present Earth orbit. Global silence persisted. Not even a whisper had emerged from Earth's surface since the death of Kale. In the Orbital Command Citadel, General Oren Vose watched the live feed from deep-sea drones of Seat's surface from the Pacific, rising like a monument from the water, his armor gleaming red as if still soaked in the blood of ages. The clouds split overhead. Lightning struck the ocean. 1,000 sensors went blind. Power readings unstable, the technician muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. His off every scale we have. Electromagnetic, gravitational, reality folding. His rewriting the laws around him. Oren nodded once. Then the laws are about to break. Seat turned his head skyward. The stars were watching, and he would make them witness. Council space, Varaxian sector. A fleet of Phyrexian warships hovered near the edge of their primary colony, Vorax Prime. A dense jungle world-turned hive of stone and steel, home to billions. The Phyrexians, proud and brutal, had dominated 24 star systems. They feared nothing, especially not humans. They remembered the delegation well. The child's scream, the mother's collapse, the smell of scorched flesh. It had meant nothing. Until now, until their long-range scanners detected a singularity, not natural, not technological, moving faster than FTL toward their sector. An officer scoffed. Some Terran relic. Let the defense grid handle it. Moments later, the sky opened. The descent. Seat did not arrive. He entered. Reality peeled open above Vorax Prime like torn silk. Stars bent, light distorted, and gravity howled like a dying god. A rift formed. Then Seat emerged, floating downward like a dark angel, eyes aflame, blades drawn. Ruin claw, black steel kissed by neutron stars. Ashfall, red like rage, humming with a low death song. Thousands of anti-air cannons locked on. They fired. He raised one hand. Every shot froze in mid-air, frozen in time, glowing orbs a halted death, then reverse course, slamming back into the launchers, detonating them across the planet in synchronized waves. Begin planetary lockdown, a Phyrexian commander screamed. Too late. Seat touched the ground, and the ground screamed. The slaughter of Vorax Prime. The first wave of defenders rushed him, 10-foot war beast bred for bloodshed, claws sharper than steel, armored like tanks. Seat moved like fire, fluid and relentless. He didn't fight. He orchestrated. A ballet of blood and ash. With every swing, he carved through flesh and steel alike. Ashfall cut through reality itself, leaving gashes in the air that bled white light. Ruin claw pulsed with every kill, growing hotter, heavier. He moved faster than they could think, smiled when they screamed, laughed when they begged. A young Phyrexian officer dropped his weapon, trembling, eyes wide. Seat paused. "Was it your order?" he asked. The officer whimpered, "And no, I wasn't even. I wasn't there." Seat stared for a heartbeat, then drove Ruin Claw through the officer's chest. "Then you should have stopped them." From the skies above, Orbital Command on Vorax Prime watched in horror as camera feeds dissolved, first in flashes of static, then in total black. The surface feeds cut one by one, each blinking red. No life signs detected. City Sector 12, gone. Sector 13, gone. 14. The planet's heartbeat died by the minute, and above them, in the vacuum of orbit, the remaining admirals watched as a pillar of crimson light exploded upward from the planet's core. Not from a weapon, from Seat himself. He had driven his blades into the crust, and now the planet screamed. Tectonic lines lit with fiery symbols. Then the ocean boiled away. The sky turned to fire. The planet cracked in half with a groan that echoed through space like a funeral dirge sung by gods. Vorax Prime was no more. Back on Earth, the mother's wake. Ellen Via sat in a chamber lit only by candlelight. Her once elegant diplomatic robes now hung from her shoulders like torn silk. Her face was pale, blank, as if her soul had already left. But her eyes were watching the stars. The Earth AI spoke softly. "He has begun." Ellen didn't blink. "Was it fast?" "No. Good." She stood, slowly, walking to the balcony. Wind stirred her hair, and distant thunder rumbled as the last remnant of Antarctica cracked and melted into the sea. "He will not stop." "I know. The galaxy will burn." Ellen turned to the stars and whispered, "Then let it burn." Council emergency session, hours later. The Grand Council convened in chaos. 12 species, once proud, now shook with growing fear. They had tried to ignore Earth, mock it, control it. Now they realized Earth had never needed them, and Earth had never been alone. A hollow image of Seat loomed above the chamber, mid-strike, blade wet with planetary fire. Reports flowed in. 1 planet gone. 3 moons destabilized. Warp lanes collapsed by gravitational rage. The Phyrexian homeworld was ashes, and Seat had vanished again. Not through tech, through will. "Is a god," murmured the Krullian delegate. "No, replied the human envoy, finally present again, his voice as cold as vacuum. "Is what we made to deal with gods." Final scene, edge of the Jarl Rift. In the dead space near the Jarl Rift, where even light refused to linger, Seat hovered in silence. Around him, fragments of planetary crust spun lazily. A single flower floated beside him, a Terran bloom, untouched by fire. Kale's favorite. He held it gently, despite the blood still dripping from his armor. He whispered, "Little star, little soul, sleep beneath a sky made whole." He stared into the void, then spoke. "Next." There's a sound the universe makes when a planet dies. It's not an explosion. It's not a scream. It's silence, an emptiness so vast it echoes. The kind of silence left behind when a billion voices go quiet in the same breath. That was a legacy Seat left behind on Vorax Prime, a world that no longer existed, its name reduced to a memory etched in ash. Somewhere in deep space, 2 hours after annihilation, the wreckage of Vorax Prime drifted like bones in a starless ocean. Asteroids spun lazily where cities once gleamed. No signal escaped. No survivors cried out. Only one thing moved. A figure, red-armored and burning, drifting like a phantom across the void. Seat. His breathing was steady. His weapons, silent. The flower still rested in his palm, impossibly untouched by the fire he had become. He spoke softly, though no one could hear. One voice silenced. 11 remain. He turned, and space twisted open before him, a rift in the dark. He vanished. Council Core World, Netherin. Netherin was a paradise. Floating cities, sky gardens, singing clouds that glowed with harmonic crystals. It was the capital of the Galactic Council, a symbol of balance, power, and supposed peace. Now, it was a throne room of fear. The remaining council members, 11 now, the Phyrexian chair forever empty, gathered in emergency session. The chamber buzzed with encrypted alarms and overlapping holograms of planetary destruction. "We underestimated Earth," hissed the Krullian War Master. "That was no man. That was wrath incarnate." The Zoxari diplomat blinked its luminous eyes. "This weapon of theirs, Seat, he does not follow protocol. He does not negotiate. We must offer reparations." "Reparations," scoffed the quarried speaker, a swirling orb of consciousness. He burned the planet for a single death. "A child," a voice said softly. They turned. Standing at the chamber entrance, flanked by Terran honor guards in dark armor, was Ambassador Ellen Vire. Alive, but not whole. Her presence stilled the room. Not by rank, but by grief weaponized into command. "You took my son. You spat on our peace. Now Earth answers. And Seat is the voice you've earned." The Krullian leaned forward. "You think we will let this continue?" "You won't have a choice," Ellen said, and she left without waiting for permission. Orbit above Netherin, the message. As Ellen's vessel departed the council chambers, a ripple struck the starfield. No ship, no warp trace. Just presence. Seat appeared above the city like a god descending. No heat signature, no propulsion. Just a figure standing midair above the clouds, arms out, blades down. He spoke, and every device, every screen, every implant echoed his voice. "This world is not mine to bone. Yet, I come with one question. Who cast a vote to kill the child?" Silence. Billions watched the cross systems. No answer came. "Then blood will answer. Prepare." He raised his arms, and the sky shattered. Planetary defense activated. Netherin defense grid lit like a star going nova. A sphere of electromagnetic barriers. Swarms of quantum drones. Orbital cannons charged with dark energy cores. Everything they had. Seat smiled. The air around him fractured as if time was glass. He shot forward, faster than light, a red streak tearing across the shield barrier, which bent, warped, and finally cracked as if ashamed. Drones opened fire. Thousands of them, in perfect synchronization. Seat spun once, twin blade blurring. Each drone stopped, then fell apart in midair, sliced into segments too fast for the mind to register. He descended upon the city like a plague. Netherin burns. In the Sky Garden district, families gathered beneath glowing trees, watching as the heavens split. And then the fire came. Seat landed in the heart of the district. Every step he took cracked the sky glass under his boots. The trees withered. The air screamed. Soldiers poured in from every gate. He welcomed them. Like dancers in a ritual, they charged, uniforms perfect, weapons glowing with council-made fire. Seat moved through them like wind through leaves. No wasted motion. No breath out of place. Every slash told a story. Every death was a sentence in his scripture vengeance. The ground turned black. The sky turned red. A commander tried to flee. Seat didn't chase him. He simply opened his hand, and gravity obeyed. The air twisted, crushing the fleeing soldier into a sphere of bone and metal the size of a marble. He dropped it, and kept walking. Council response, last offense. In the inner sanctum, a failsafe that hadn't been activated in 10,000 years flared to life. The Aurelian core, a sun-heart bomb that could collapse the entire city into a black hole. Detonate it, said the Quarith orb. Everything will die, shouted another. Then better that than to let him reach us. A trembling counselor reached for the trigger, but the door exploded inward. Seat stood there, covered in blood, as steaming from his shoulders. Speak, he said, voice low. Who gave the order? Silence. Then the Quarith pulsed. We all did. Seat's head tilted. Thank you. And then the slaughter began. The council falls. The chamber, once the brain of galactic civilization, became a mass grave. The Krullian was first, his chest impaled by ruined claw before he could draw breath. The Zoxari diplomat split into glowing halves. The Quarith orb collapsed into quantum dust. No speeches, no pleas, only consequences. When the last counselor fell, Seat stood in the blood-stained chamber, the broken emblem of galactic peace at his feet. He stared at it. Then, for the first time, he sat down and waited. Far away, Earth. Ellen stood in the Terran war room, watching the aftermath from secure channels. Seat hadn't just killed them. He had erased their legacy. The council was no more. Not crippled. Extinct. A general whispered behind her. Do we call him back? Ellen didn't answer right away. Her fingers traced a small photo, her and Kale, laughing, before the mission, before the galaxy spat on their trust. She turned. Not yet. Final scene, the Garden of Stone. Netherin now stood in ruin. Cities blackened. Skies quiet. The rivers had turned to glass. At the center of what was once the council chamber, Seat knelt beside a pile of rubble. With his blooded fingers, he carved something into the stone floor. A name. Kale. He placed a flower there, the one that had never burned, never wilted. And then he stood. His voice was soft, almost human. 1 more debt paid. 10 remain. The wind carried his words like a warning. And then, without a sound, he vanished. In the silence after Netherin's fall, the galaxy held its breath. Not out of mourning, out of fear. 12 seats had once governed the known stars, 12 empires, 12 voices of absolute control. Seat had turned 2 into ash. First Vorax Prime, then Netherin, and now, the remaining 10, those who had cast silent votes to kill the Terran child, prepared for war. Not peace, not diplomacy, desperation. Because even gods panic when vengeance wears a face. The Alliance of Dread, 10 days later. They met not in light, but in shadow, a council of what remained, 10 empires whose pride bled like open wounds. The Grand Neburii mind web spoke first, its voice a lattice of thought weaving through 10,000 speakers. Seat cannot be stopped, not by force, not by time. He is entropy made flesh. The Ulrex Archking hissed, eyes glowing with solar flares. Then we must rewrite the rules. And so, for the first time in galactic history, 10 civilizations combined their resources, their war forges, their forbidden knowledge. They built not ships, not weapons, but beasts, the Stormborn, birth of the Stormborn. From the dark moons of Orxos came Volga, stitched from black holes in flesh, breathing radiation like fire. In the plasma crucibles of Rakai Burn K Thera, a living flame with a soul made of agony. And in the drowned worlds of Veneth rose Enwaal, the serpent of tides, whose voice could crush thought. 10 in total. each bound by quantum chains to their creators, each trained to kill not armies, but seat. They were given names, oaths, and freedom. Their mission? Find seat, end seat, burn Earth if needed. They left their forges like storms breaking the edge of reality. And behind them, a weapon waited, a final failsafe, a device to end everything. If seat could not be stopped, then the galaxy would collapse the core of reality itself. Earth responds. Terran Space Command, Earth orbit. The generals argued. Admirals barked. And in the corner, unmoving, Ellen Vire sat with her hands folded and her eyes on the stars. He will face them, she said softly. A colonel leaned forward. All 10? They are not just weapons. They are. I know what they are, she snapped, voice cracking like a whip. He will face them. And if he falls. Ellen rose, slowly, as if her grief had taught her to carry gravity. Then we unleashed the last protocol. Silence fell, a word not spoken since Earth's darkest era. A weapon older than seat, one they swore never to use. The ambush, Sector X-44, Grave Nebula. Seat floated alone in the void, where stars were bones and the nebula whispered death. He was tracking another, the third name, the Jirel Monarch, a spider god who had cast his vote with venom and indifference. But Seat felt it before he saw it. A shift in reality, the cold pulse of war beings. And then they came, all 10. The Stormborn descended like gods thrown from heaven. Their roars cracked the nebula's clouds. Their bodies twisted the laws of matter. They did not speak. They charged. The first clash, Seat versus the Stormborn. Volga struck first, a fist the size of a mountain, made of neutron star steel. It crushed the asteroid Seat stood on into powdered stone. But Seat wasn't there. He moved, not like a man, but like a thought, appearing behind Volga and slicing upward with ruined claw. Volga screamed. A piece of infinity spilled from the wound. Thera followed, her fire body engulfing Seat. The heat of suns, the rage of murdered stars. Seat screamed. Not in pain. In war. Ashfall ignited. Its edge cut through Thera's flame like silence through a scream. She shrieked, her form unraveling at the edges. NYR wrapped around him, tight, endless, crushing his bones with psychic venom. But Seat bit down on the serpent's flesh and drove both blades into its spine. Explosions lit the void. Stormborn after Stormborn struck, and Seat gave them blood. The battle of Eternals. Time breaks. The fight spanned minutes, then hours, then time fractured. The nebula cracked, a temporal wound spreading across reality. They fought inside memory, inside future, inside possibility. Seat killed 3, tore one in half, lost a piece of his own shoulder. His left leg shattered at the knee, but he kept fighting, because vengeance has no end, and wrath is patient. The turning. With 4 Stormborn slain, the remaining 6 regrouped. But something was wrong. They were fading. Seat wasn't just killing them. He was unraveling the fabric that held them together. Because they were made by fear, and fear had limits. Seat did not. One by one, they began to hesitate. And that was all he needed. He didn't strike now with rage. He struck with precision. Ashfall severed Thera's tether to her creators. Ruined claws shattered Volga's containment spine. Seat did not just kill them. He ended their existence. Final moments. The last Stormborn. Only one remained. Izorn, the final Stormborn, a being of pure logic. A crystal mind linked to 10 galaxies. He floated before Seat, unbroken, unwounded. You are a flaw, Izorn said. Seat bled from 20 places. His breath came shallow. He pointed ruined claw at the creature. I'm the cost. Izorn attacked. Seat didn't block. He let the blade of light pierce his side, then grabbed it barehanded, pulled Izorn close, and whispered something no one heard. Izorn froze, then screamed, and shattered. Seat stood in the wreckage, blood falling like stars around him. All 10 were gone. The final failsafe, triggered, far from the battle. In the dead world of Korthal, a hand trembled. The Quorith remnants watched Seat's victory, and they pressed the final button. A ripple spread, a reality bomb not meant to kill Seat, but to erase the timeline where he ever existed. Earth reacts. Terran AI screamed warnings. Time flux detected. Causal collapse imminent. Ellen stood before the vault beneath the old mountains, the one never meant to open. The last protocol. She placed her hand on the panel. It scanned her DNA, her soul print, her grief. Unlock it, she said. The mountain cracked, and something else woke. Seat vanishes. In space, Seat felt it, a cold pulling, like fingers grasping the threads of his existence. The stars flickered. His name began to vanish from the universe. He dropped to one knee. Then, stopped. Something else grabbed him, held him in place. A new light bloomed in the sky behind him. White, bright, endless. And from it stepped something older than war. Earth's last protocol. A voice older than suns echoed. You don't die yet, Seat. Not until they've all paid. The light swallowed them both, and the galaxy trembled. The stars were wrong. Every telescope knew it. Every AI screamed it. Every world that looked up saw a scar in the heavens, a rift that pulsed like a heartbeat. Reality had been wounded, and the blood of timelines poured into the void. The galactic failsafe, the device meant to erase Seat from existence, had not only failed, it had summoned something worse. Above Earth, the return. He reappeared not as a warrior, but as a storm. Seat fell through the clouds like thunder-given flesh, wrapped in silver light. Around him, time warped. Gravity bent to his rage. At his side walked another. Not machine, not human. Earth's last protocol. A being without name, without voice. A being of light, war-coded soul, and unbreakable command. Protect Terran continuity. Eliminate existential threats. Erase the gods if needed. It was Earth's final vow to itself. And now, it walked beside its greatest warrior. Seat landed on the blackened sands of New Earth Command. The ground cracked. Terran War Council, mobilization. Ellen Via stood before the holographic remnants of the galaxy. Most of the council worlds were gone. The rest trembled in the shadows of their own broken empires. Her voice was calm. Cold. You tried to erase him. You tried to erase us. You failed. Now Earth answers. Seat is a plague. He is a mirror, she snapped, cutting off the Drosari remnant's ambassador. And now you will see what your reflection looks like when Earth no longer holds back. Behind her, a siren screamed. Protocol, final ascension, activated. All Terran fleets launched. Orbital platforms unlocked safeties. Time burrow cannons began charging. Earth wasn't going to war. It was going to end the war. The last 10, their response. Across the galaxy, the surviving 10 empires panicked. Their Stormborn were gone. Their failsafe failed. Their gods were broken. They had only one option left. The Singularity Accord. A suicide pact of technological merging. Each empire would feed its core intelligence, power, and history into one Titan mind, an artificial god constructed from the souls of 10 fallen empires. They called it Vorakith, the Skybreaker, born of terror, fueled by extinction. It would not simply fight Seat. It would unmake Earth entirely. The Skybreaker awakens. Vorakith emerged from the event core in the void between galaxies, a colossus the size of moons. 10-faced, each forged from the last ruler of every species. Its voice boomed in equations, rewriting laws as it breathed. I am the answer to vengeance. I am the death of death. And it turned toward Sol, toward Earth, toward Seat. The battle begins, Earth versus Vorakith. They met at the edge of Saturn's rings. Seat, alone, red-armored, blades glowing with the screams of the fallen. Vorakith, god-machine of terror, warfields orbiting its body like dust. Their clash silenced Jupiter's storms. Seat moved like poetry written in blood. Vorakith struck like logic weaponized. Saturn's moons crumbled from their blows. The rings burned away. Time snapped like thread. Seat leapt, spinning midday, ashfall cleaving through Vorakith's first face, the Ulrex King, cutting the old tyrant's crown in half. The gods screamed. Planets shivered. Earth joins the fight. Terran ships warped in. 10,000 in formation. Each one pulsing with forbidden tech long kept secret. They didn't fire weapons. They fired memories, emotional shockwaves, pain grenades. Echoes of human defiance stored as weaponized frequencies. The AI known as Soul Mind awoke. Earth itself joined the war. Voraketh staggered, but did not fall. It launched a retaliatory blast, Erasure Pulse, a wave meant to delete cities, souls, entire bloodlines. And it hit Earth. New York falls. The city vanished in white fire. No screams. Just a single moment of blinding, perfect silence. Then, nothing. A crater where life had once been. Seat paused, only for a heartbeat. That was all it took for Vorakith to pierce his chest with 1,000 razors of thought. Seat dropped, bleeding, dying, fading. The protocol speaks. Before Vorakith could strike again, Earth's last protocol moved. Not like a soldier, but like a final truth. It walked into space, and it spoke one word in every language to every particle. No, and time froze. Across the universe, nothing moved. The stars halted, planets paused, even death waited. Seat gasped, his wound still pouring light. The protocol turned to him. You are the fire, but I am the fuse. And it exploded, not in heat, but in meaning. The death of Vorakith. Reality bent. The protocol's detonation didn't destroy Vorakith. It unwrote him, one face at a time. His code inverted, his memory erased, his existence revoked. Seat rose as the light consumed the god. He lifted Ruin Claw and brought it down one final time, splitting Voraketh's hot core in two. The sky screamed, and the war ended. Aftermath, 1 year later. Silence, not the silence of fear, the silence of peace. Earth rebuilt. Ellen Vyers stood on the cliffside of the Atlantic Memorial, a place where the names of the dead were carved into the sky via orbiting satellite. She spoke softly to the child whose voice had started it all. Kale, it's over. He did it. And she turned to watch Seat, alone, still armored, still watching the stars. He had not spoken in a year. He hadn't needed to. Final scene, the broken blade. On the highest mountain, Seat knelt, Ruin Claw in his lap. Ashfall lay before him. He drew a blade from his own armor, one made not of steel, but bone. Kale's. The bone had been hidden in his gauntlet since the beginning. He drove it into the ground, whispering, "Let this be the last war." He stood. For the first time, he removed his helmet. A scarred face, tired, human. He looked to the stars, and walked away.